Nintendo, the gaming community's abusive lover who would sooner sell a fan's liver than sell their old games at a reasonable price. Nintendo. But was Nintendo always like this? Well, yes they were. Because before Nintendo was selling online services run by tin cans, and doing everything in their power to make their music as inaccessible as possible, Nintendo was doing some shady but legal things back in the day. So turning back the clock to the great 1900s where lobotomy was the new hot thing for curing the insidious disease of being a woman, Nintendo was just created by Kusajiro Yamauchi, and all they did back then was create cards with nice art on them, called the Hanafuda, a far cry from the magic moving pictures they create today. But business for Nintendo wasn't all that hustling and bustling. Since World War II happened and authorities banned foreign card games, so the only card game that the Japanese could play back then was Yu-Gi-Oh! And no one likes Yu-Gi-Oh! Because reading entire essays just to understand what a single card does is for nerds. But to be honest, this should have boosted Nintendo's play of those since they were basically a monopoly of a card invented in Japan. But I guess playing Go Fish with a bunch of artsy cards wasn't entertaining enough for the people back then, as cracking open a can of war crimes with the boys. So with Nintendo slowly dying in World War II, Yamauchi needed to find a new source of revenue. But thankfully, there was a ripe source of honey that anyone can easily exploit in times of war. Desperation. Oh goddammit Yamauchi, I already hoarded out my wife to pay for the janitor this month. How the fuck are we gonna pay the rent for this place?
Don't worry, Canada. I got into contact with some rascals who call themselves Yakuza. And they said that they'll buy out our cars to fuel their gambling rings. It's gonna be great.
Yamauchi, I don't think partnering with a criminal organization is good for business.
No. You don't get it. They will pay us money.
Oh well shit, you got me. I do like money. And that's basically what happened. Except the prostitution part because that's a later point in the story. With this newfound friendship, the Yakuza became frequent customers at Nintendo's store, buying out their handmade Hanafuda cards whenever they want. As for the reason why they kept buying cards, it's because the Yakuza had a habit of throwing out every deck after every game so that it can be used as kindling for burning the loser's palms as an act of repentance for gambling and losing, which is a practice called Shichi no Sen. This, however, isn't true cause I just made it up. The Yakuza were just being fancy cunts when they gamble. Now, you may see it as aiding a criminal organization, but for Yamauchi, he just saw it as capitalizing on an untapped market. But this wasn't the only relation that Nintendo had with the Yakuza, because in the years after the Second World War, specifically in the 1960s, Nintendo had a new president named Hiroshi Yamauchi, who was the great-grandson of the founder of the company, and he decided that it was now time for Nintendo to expand. Now, with a company like Nintendo, their name carries weight, and one wrong step can bring untold damage to their public image. But it's alright since Hiroshi had advisors who probably told him the same thing. So with Hiroshi keeping this warning in his head, he started one of his first businesses as the new president of Nintendo, a whorehouse. Specifically a love hotel, and it was run by a partnership with the Yakuza where they'd have their prostitutes use the love hotels as their basis of operation, where they can commit unholy acts not befitting the eyes of the Lord, because as the Lord says, fires of hell for thee, if thou art wedded before thine woman receives big meat. As for the reason why he created a love hotel, well, it's because Hiroshi was quite a philanthropic man who was a frequent customer of such places, and instead of going to other love hotels, he just made his own conception dungeon by his design. The love hotels didn't last long though cause he wanted to take a shot at other industries. And you know the rest of the story of Nintendo, since they're pretty much one of the biggest game companies out there in the world. And as you know, with great power comes great responsibility. And one of the times Nintendo demonstrated their great power was that time they sent a cease and desist letter to a Melee tournament because they were going to use Slippy to play online in the middle of a pandemic. Surely a company that would make its founder proud, because if he was alive today, he'll know that even after all these years, Nintendo is still the same as it once was a century ago. A company run by archaic dinosaurs. But yeah, I'll still probably buy their games. Oh well, that's all. Donate to Wikipedia and see ya.